Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live chat tonight with author Jesse James Fain. He seems to be a pretty prolific writer of short stories. I've seen him. I checked out his Amazon profile. He's got a lot of entries in anthologies. Let's do a quick introduction of him. He is a sci-fi fantasy author and editor, combat description specialist, revenge tales, two-time WABDL world champion. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to ask him. Four-time WABDL world record holder. Evil women love me and evil men fear me. Love it, dude. Let's go ahead and bring him on. What's going on, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for being on. What? I don't know if you heard while you're in the queue there my intro of you. Were you able to hear that?
Yeah. So I got the volume, but my screen's not updating. So if I miss some visual cues, I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
All I've got right now is you looking at the camera, kind of like. So it's so yeah. But yeah, no, I appreciate the introduction. Yeah, so to answer the question quickly and succinctly, the WABDL is the World Association of Bench Pressers and Deadlifters.
Oh, heck yeah, bro.
Yeah, so it's a powerlifting organization. So from 14 to 19, I participated in the organization. Then I went to college, and college kind of messed all that up. But yeah, so bench press was my thing. And that's where the records and the championships come in.
What was your how did that competition work? Is it just like a 1 rep max or what?
Yeah, so it's you get 3 to 4 tries. You get an extra try if you're going for any kind of record. So if you're trying to do a state record or anything like that, you have to stop at the bottom of the lift. You'll get a press command. You'll press the weight. You have to stop. And once the weight is lifted, then you get a command to rack the weight. And you get a spotter who will help you get the weight off the bar, basically get the weight out. So your spotter helps you get the weight out, you come down, you stop, you make your press, you stop, you get your rack command. There's 3 judges. The 3 judges, you need 2 out of the 3 to certify the lift. So they all have lights, and the lights are either green or red, like a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
So we just call them greens or reds. So 2 out of 3 greens, then you're good to go. Basic rules are you got to keep your butt on the bench. What I just talked about with the order of operations. If your back is arched, it has to stay arched. If it's not arched, it can't arch in the lift. There's some stuff like that. You wear a bench press suit. I wore a single ply suit, which means it's just 1 layer of material. That's generally to keep you from blowing your shoulders out when you have to stop all the momentum. That makes the lift a lot rougher.
Yeah.
And so I was just under 600 pounds when I stopped. My last lift was around 580.
Woo, dude, like a superhero.
I wish.
I'm like,
and I will say,
I'm repping 205, and I feel proud of myself. God dang, man.
I mean, that's I was about 265 then.
Yeah.
So I will say I'm not that man anymore. I'm older now. I'm softer now.
Yeah, that's all right.
College and a 9 to 5 in a chair caught up with me.
Yeah, happens to everybody.
So yeah.
Oh man, well, cool, dude. I didn't know. Because on your Twitter thing, it just says world champion. I was like, that's a hilarious title. It says world champion, and then on your Amazon profile, it actually said what you're a champion of. So that's cool. You won it was like a tournament, or was that in school, or like a private kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's the organization. So the organization puts on worlds every year. It is generally somewhere out west. For me, it was in Reno, and one was in. I think we did Vegas once and Reno twice. I think that's right. It was either that way or the other way around. Anyway, not really important. The fact of the matter is, you get on a plane, you fly in, you weigh in. And then for an entire weekend, it's just lifting. And in my organization, it was just bench press and deadlift. Some people do squats, like the IPF would have squats in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's several different organizations that do it. So I'm not the only champion from the time. Before my age and weight in that organization, I won worlds twice. I participated in worlds 3 times. I got second my first year there. Um, and I got to set records and beat my own records along the way. I was really blessed to have that opportunity. I had some fantastic trainers. Um, and my youth was really filled with sports. I played football in Gwinnett County, Georgia. For anybody who keeps up with high school football, I played at Parkview, which was basically like playing at a college. It's way too serious.
Yeah.
It was that kind of like the same thing as like I don't know if like two-a-days, like Hoover, Alabama. It had that same kind of attitude. The school went undefeated for a really long time, and it made like it the holy game.
Yeah.
Played ball, wrestled, did MMA, baseball, all that. So that's why I say I'm a combat description specialist. Is my degree, my minor is histories, and I studied specifically a lot of military history. And I train with firearms and everything like that too, still, even now. And then I did MMA from 14 to 26, roughly.
Nice.
So I try and take the real life fighting that I've studied, practiced, occasionally had to use, and put that into my writing.
Yeah, I you can always tell like when like an author like knows like the real world like side of things as to what they're writing because like I don't know if you read Larry Correia, but he's a huge gun nut and like you can tell like in his
Oh
writing
yeah.
like the dude knows his guns.
Yeah, I went to look at the channel to like see your reviews and stuff like that to kind of get an idea of like what we were going to do tonight. And I saw that you were reviewing like Servants of War,
Oh,
and
dude,
I love Servants of
so
War.
good.
I was amped when I saw that. That's
Yeah.
such a good book,
dude. It's so good.
So yeah, Larry's an inspiration. Larry, a lot of Larry's stuff came out when I was like finishing high school, going into college.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Larry, Jim Butcher, and of course like the older tales like Robert E. Howard. Those are a big like those are the people I point to when people ask me who I want to write like, who inspires me.
Yeah. I unfortunately only discovered them last year, like Jim Butcher. I've been buying Jim Butcher books, like the Harry Dresden files. I've been finding them like the library book sales and stuff. So I've been collecting them. And I think probably like in the winter comes back around, I'm going to start knocking those out because I know there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because I've been going through like Galaxy's Edge and like Land and Sea I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just last year, like I started reading Robert E. Howard last year because like, I don't know, I'm 36. I don't know if we're like close to the same age. I think we might be kind of close.
Yeah. I'm 35.
There you go. Yeah. So like I read Harry Potter way too many times as a kid.
Yeah,
I mean,
course.
I love it, but like I didn't read anything else, right? So like I like now I'm trying to make up for it. You know, I got 3 kids now. It's actually hard. I don't have time to read as much, but it is what it is. I've actually I don't know. I think last year I read like 40 books, so it's not too bad. And my wife's like, "Oh, my aunt read 130
that's
books,"
still
and I was
good.
like, "Well, frick her, dude. I wish I had that kind of time."
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, 40 is good, man. That's 40 more than most people I know read.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, it like turned me on to a bunch of authors that I like. I was looking at your Amazon list. Looks like you got like you're kind of prolific with short stories. It looks like.
Yeah. So far, so I did kind of the more. There's an old school route where people would look at you, and it's not as true now, but people would look at you and they'd be like, "Hey, so do the short stories first, and then like once you get a rhythm and you know you can finish a story and you get your name out there some, then work on the novel."
Yeah.
And so that's been me. Is I started with those short stories because the short stories let me play with ideas, and I'm a forever DM at heart. Like, so the world building is the first thing that happens for me. So I get all these like little quirky one-off ideas, and then I actually got to sit down and do the work to finish them. And so that's what the short stories help with. Is I can do 10,000 words and I can crank out a really polished short story in a couple weeks or a month, versus doing a full-length novel. That's half a year's investment.
Yeah.
But the novel's on the way. The novel, I'm aiming for having it done in October. If I have it done in October, I'm going to submit it for the ARC Prize. If the ARC Prize doesn't work out, then I'll either self-publish or give it to one of the publishers that's been kind enough to work with me before.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I think Arc has released it. I had DJ Butler on my stream like a couple months ago, but I don't know if they've released any books yet. But I'm excited for them to start actually putting some books out.
Yeah. No, I'm excited too, and I love that they're coming out off the rip with like really like I can't say that what they're offering would totally change my life, but it would noticeably change my life. You know what I mean? Like, and that's cool from a smaller press
Yeah.
to be like, hey, we know what we want, we got the funding, we got the professionals, let's rock.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I was going to write the novel anyway, so it's one of those things like I can't really fail. I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned D&D because like I another thing, like I never played D&D growing up. I didn't get into it till I was in the Navy. I was like probably, I don't know, 27, 28 when I first started playing it. And then like I was just got hooked on it, man. I started watching like Critical Role, and I was like reading my PHB while I was doing that to learn the rules. And then I was just like making characters nonstop. And I was like, I kind of think, because as a kid I kind of wanted to be a writer, but it was one of those things I didn't think I could do it. But I would write. I remember one time I had a teacher come to my house, and like she was like concerned because I wrote like this like super graphic story. I don't even remember what it was, but mom was like, get out of here, like don't come here and try and censor my son. But anyway, like yeah, D&D is kind of like, yeah, right. She yeah, D&D kind of like made me seem like, oh, I think I actually kind of want to, when I get out of the Navy, maybe I'll give writing a shot. So I got out of the Navy in 2019, and then like COVID happened, so it's been kind of a mind effort for me on that route. And I live just outside Portland, and I'm sure everybody knows what Portland was like around that time. So yeah, I'm still working on it, but yeah, man. Are you, out of curiosity, are you a pantser or are you an outliner?
Oh, I'm absolutely a pantser.
Nice.
Writing an outline feels like writing the story. And I know that's like a me thing. Not everybody feels that way. But for me, it's like if I sit down and I do this really hardcore outline, that felt like as much work as if I just sat down and wrote the story. And so I definitely I can do an outline in my head. The cover that you used, it came from the trailer park.
Mm-hmm.
I had that story for months and months. My fiance and I were like in the car driving somewhere, and we were bullshitting about those characters. Like we were just making stuff up, to the point of like speaking in character and things like that. So I can work on something for forever, but if I put that outline down on the paper, it just doesn't. The process doesn't work the same, and I end up pivoting anyway.
Yeah.
So like it just. I can have this very bare bones outline that's like this super dramatic thing happens and this thing happens and then this thing happens, but I'm never gonna be a hardcore outliner.
Yeah. See, I feel like I'm the opposite. I tried the first time I was like, I'm gonna try and write a novel. I tried doing Discovery, and I didn't know where I was going, and I ended up like I had to just like scrap it and starting over. And then I tried outlining, and I like knocked out this huge outline, like not like super detailed, but like at least like to like structure a full story. So I'm still working on it. I'm not published. I'm still trying. Got a lot of work to do to get there, but yeah. That's why honestly I love talking to other authors and stuff, because I learn a lot from every single person I talk to. So I'm loving it, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a labor of love. Like it's the investment cost on this is insane. Mm-hmm. Like even now me having, like you said, I've got a pretty decent amount of short stories out there, and there's more coming that just haven't published yet. But you invest your spare time for, even a short stories. That's a month of spare time. That's a month I could have been reading. That's a month that I could have been going out with the family. That's a month I could have spent with my son. That's a month, like those hours I could have been doing something else. So I put all those hours in, and then you pray somebody's going to like it enough to take it. So it's got a huge investment cost into it, but the community, the people that you get to meet, just like you and I are doing right now, mm-hmm. those things are awesome. And so that helps make it worth it. And I do think it's a worthy endeavor, even now when it's more prolific and some people might say saturated more than ever. It's still worth it.
Yeah. I mean, sure, saturated, but like think how many readers there are. So like as long as you like carve out your own slice of the pie, like I don't necessarily know if it's, I don't know. I think Raconteur. Have you published with Raconteur Press? I feel like I saw.
I haven't published with Raconteurs, but like them directly.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked with like Raconteur adjacent. So a lot of the authors that end up in those Raconteur
Mm-hmm.
like those releases, they've ended up doing stuff with me.
Okay.
But I've been blessed to meet a lot of them. Raconteurs on my list. I've got a couple that I'm submitting to that of their later projects that I'll have stories that I'll put into. Whether I get in is up to them.
Yeah.
That's not on me.
I,
Um,
yeah, they get a
but
lot of
like,
stories. Oh, go ahead, bud.
oh no, I was gonna say like Sam Robb. Like I've been blessed to work with Sam some,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got his own rack anthology that's coming up later that I'm gonna submit to some stuff like that.
Cool, man. Yeah, Raconteur, they get like a ton of because I submitted to one. It was a Weird
Yeah,
West story, and I didn't make
yeah.
it. But like I didn't even get feedback because like there was so many applicants, and I totally understand.
Hmm.
There's just so many applicants. Like it's impossible. They're small teams, and like they have time to sit there and respond to everybody and give feedback on stories.
Yeah,
As far as
yeah. I think Weird West is gonna blow up. So
I
keep working
love,
on that one because
yeah, I love that genre. I really like blended genres, mixing like Weird West or I'm super into incense punk right now. I don't know if you've read Orders of Magnitude, but I'm kind of wanting to pick up more stories in that genre.
yeah. No, I got to see an interview with some of the Incense Punk guys on the Blasters and Blades podcast. So I got to watch that. I haven't really dove in yet. Um, I do also love blended genres, and I'm really excited. I've got a project coming up that's meant to be like the ultimate genre blend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that should be out early, the beginning of next year. But yeah, no, I'm definitely digging stuff like that. Two of the stories that are already out, the one in Dragons in Combat and the one in Cogs and Cutlasses, they're Weird West adjacent. It's the
Mm-hmm.
South, and it's like a steampunk Civil War. It's just after the war, and there's dragons and magic and everything too. So I definitely love that genre blend, like you're talking about too, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of why I'm so all over the place. Is I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it's good to diversify, man. You kind of mentioned that, like you said, you spend like you devote a month to writing a short story. Is that like how many revisions are you doing in a month?
It depends. So I'm not a good person to model off of when it comes to the process.
Mm-hmm.
The process is what works for me and probably doesn't work for anybody else. So I hate doing like people talk about drafts. I hate writing a full other draft. Like if I have to sit down and rewrite this whole thing over again, it
Yeah.
wasn't that good in the first place.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and I know plenty of people that don't feel that way. I watched an interview with Jay Kristoff, who's one of my favorite novel writers, and Jay literally in an interview was like, "Yeah, and on the third draft of this book," and I was like, "Bro, this is a 300,000 word book. You're insane."
Yeah.
Like the third draft. What do you it's like, but like I said, I love the way this man writes. He's
Yeah.
fantastic, but I don't do that personally. If it's that bad, I'm going to throw it in the trash or start all over. But
Mm-hmm.
once I have something that I feel like this is good enough, I'm going to hand it off to the people I'm blessed to have in my life that will read my stuff. They're not really beta readers. They're more like alpha readers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll hand it off to my alpha readers. My alpha readers will come back and be like, "Hey, this was really cool. This was kind of weird, or this was awkward, whatever." And eventually, like, my best friend since I was 11, I just call him my brother. It makes stuff easy. We've watched each other's back like that ever since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brother's a Marine vet. He actually did the thing, went to Afghanistan, fought, got shot at, shot back, all that. And so I hand him a lot of stuff, and then I hand another one of my friends who's been a good friend since high school. I'll hand it to the two of them, and they will often look at me and go, "This was awesome. We need more of X." And then my brother will look at me and be like, "Hey, what would be really cool? What if you did da 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 da?" And I'll be like, "That's brilliant," and I'll go write it.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I produce the base story. I try and make it as good as I can. I hand it to the people around me. They hand it back. I fix whatever needs to be fixed or add whatever needs to be added. And that's the end of that. I'm not, I get, maybe it's the undiagnosed ADHD. I can't devote that much into it and feel like it was worthy. If it needed that much cleaning, I'm just not happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do that. Like when I do revisions, I just like I'll go through and I'm like, okay, that paragraph maybe I wrote too much, or I'll like delete a couple paragraphs or add something else in. Or I've honestly, this is the first I just submitted to the Bane fantasy competition. I just
Nice.
put a short story in, and so this is like the first time I really, because I would just like write a short story, and a couple I've submitted I didn't really do a ton of revision on, which is probably a huge reason why they didn't get picked up. But this one I did. I submitted. There's a Facebook group I'm a part of. It's called Alpha Mercs.
Nice.
And yeah, so
I'm an alpha merc.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I had some people read that in the chat, and they gave me some awesome feedback. I even had Grok kind of go through and just give me some feedback, just to see what AI had to say. Some of it was pretty good, honestly. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to hear. It's cool. We had a very similar writing journey. I definitely, one of my first stories went to the Bane Fantasy Contest, and of course didn't get picked up, which is okay because it needed it. My first problem when I was like newer to this, because I can't say I'm a super huge vet even now. I've only been doing this for a couple of years professionally.
Yeah.
My first problem was I would write a short story that should have been a novel. And that's what I did to that one. Was I tried to pack this awesome world that needed 50, 60,000 words. I tried to pack that into a 10,000 word short story, and it just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, I'm a huge fantasy fan, and I started writing in that, and then I found, and I still want to write fantasy stuff, but like I found that like mill sci-fi comes way easier for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, I was in the Navy for 6 years, but I wasn't a combat MOS or anything. I was a load master on a plane. I just flew cargo everywhere. But for some reason, whatever it is, mill sci-fi, I wrote that Weird West. That story came easier to me, but fantasy comes a little bit harder. I don't know what to do. Maybe I just not familiar with like how to talk properly in that era. I don't know. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just not my genre.
I think yeah, well, and I think that you have a natural inclination to a certain type of story. I think that's why, like, I put revenge tales on my stuff, is because almost every story I end up writing has some form of revenge in it. It could be a person who's out for unjust revenge. It could be somebody who's out for very just revenge, but it always tends to work its way in. And I think that we like to do things like genre, but honestly, there's certain story archetypes that just appeal to, us as people, who we are, where we've been, what we've done. And I think that has a big driver in the kind of story that you write.
Yeah.
So like my very first published piece was mill sci-fi. So I 100% get that, because it was much easier for me to structure that modern aesthetic and make it cool before I kind of dove in. And then I went from that to urban fantasy. And then I went from urban fantasy to the steampunk fantasy. And I still to this day haven't published like any of my high fantasy stuff. So I have it waiting in the wings. I've got dark fantasy tucked back that I'm slowly plugging away at, but I think it might, just because of the genre, it honestly might take a little bit more out of the modern mind to, jump into that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you started, writing and getting published, like how many short stories did you write before you finally got one published? Was it your first shot you got it published, or did you give a few attempts before you finally wrote a story that got picked up?
So, okay. It's really hard for me to answer that question, and I guess I'll answer that question by just explaining my writing journey, and that might kind of fill things in. So like I mentioned, I was a D&D kid, talking about 12, 13 years old. I walked in the comic book shop, saw people playing, fell in love. It was 3rd edition. I played 3rd edition. I played 3.5. I played 4 for the little bit, all the way to 5th. But it's a lot easier to write by yourself than it is to get, 4 to 6 people together every weekend to be able, or even once a month to be able to play. So that's what kind of led to me writing on my own. I really cut my teeth online on online forums. It was Gaia Online. The website's still up. You can still go. When I was younger, And there's role-playing guilds on the forums, and you write to each other 3-4 paragraphs at a time, and you play a character, kind of like D&D via forum.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in several guilds where I played characters there and did collaborative writing and collaborative storytelling. So when I started doing the short stories to get published, it was doing them specifically with the intent of publishing them. But before that, I'd been writing for over a decade.
Yeah.
Just fantasy stuff. I fell in love with those stories. My grandfather handed me this big box of books at like 8 that had Lord of the Rings and Dune and all kinds of stuff in it. And it took me years to get through the box because there were so many in there, but it had all those classics in there. Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice, David Eddings, the Belgariad and the Millennium, like all those were in that box. And
you still have those copies?
Yeah, they are on a shelf at Mom's.
Nice.
They're still there. They're either there or packed up. And a lot of them fell apart. So like I don't have that copy of Dune anymore because it broke in half from being read multiple times. And you know, it was like a 1970s copy of Dune too. It had the old school cover of like the sunrise over Dune. And anyway, so I had written a ton before I ever sat down to even do the short stories, but the short stories I got really serious about, and it was about my third short story was the one that ended up being published. I had been telling everybody I really want to do drop troopers, like Halo ODSTs or Starship Troopers. Like, I really want to write this. I really want to write this. And I got lucky and a call came out. It was Three Ravens, and Three Ravens had contested landing, and it was all about drop troopers. And I was score. So I wrote that story specifically for the prompt. The story I'd written before that was my Bain Fantasy Award one. That was basically, it was me trying to do I guess Furies of Calderon and Game of Thrones put together would be the easiest way to explain that story. And it was just, that's a full novel. And it's still, I'm working on the novel, but it's on the back burner. I got way too much other stuff to write right now.
Is that that's like a down the road? What's the novel you're working on right now?
So the novel I'm working on right now is called Gravesinger. And Gravesinger is the sequel to one of my published short stories, Dead Wolf. The short version, to catch everybody up, is Dead Wolf is about a man named Leonidas Vanagander, and Leonidas is a retired Green Beret. But the world that Leo lives in is magical and has had magic for a very long time. So there's institutions centered around it. So when Leo served, he wasn't in the army, he was in the United States Sorcerers Legion. And his family, going back way back through all of his history, they've always been necromancers. So Leo was a specialty role called the Demon Delta. The Green Beret medics are 18D, so that's hence the Demon Delta. And his specialty was raising the enemy's KIA up and sending them back after the enemy. That's what he did. So he's retired now, and he basically gets pulled into some nonsense here at home. I won't spoil it any more than that, but I'm writing the novel sequel from the events of what happened there. And that starts my cross-genre universe, which is The Holy Diver and the Midnight Sea. So it'll be a tale of the Midnight Sea. Basically, it's my way of being able to blend fantasy, sci-fi, pretty much anything you want to. And there's going to be an Antho coming out the beginning of next year that's going to also be set in that universe.
Nice, man. Is that like modern day, like as far as like the time for the setting, or is it like Vietnam era or something?
So for Leo, it's modern day. Okay. I put it near future, like maybe near future. I don't specify the date, but it's got all the modern day stuff. Leo served with the M5, so maybe he's 10 years down the road from us. Mm-hmm. But it is very close to modern day. He's a vet of the end of their version of the War on Terror. So it pulls a lot from that. It pulls a lot from When I wrote my sci-fi short, Children of Fire, that was a veteran who was, excuse me, that was a veteran who was ready to get out. And Leo is the veteran who gets out and comes home and realizes that he's struggling to find a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they were spiritual successors to one another. And I did not serve, I did not go through these things, but between my brother and all of his friends that have now really become my friends, I've been surrounded by people and I've been the support for the people that were going through it. So it means a lot. And I figured the best way to write a believable and relatable story was to write about something that was close to me.
Yeah. What was I going to ask? I just brain farted it, man. Oh yeah,
Happens to the best of us.
I know, right? No, I've heard. I actually, funny enough, Larry Correa mentions this, that it's like really kind of a good idea not to put dates in your story, because he put dates in the first Monster Hunter, and he's like, oh, I wish I would have done that, but that was his debut novel. So yeah, it's like, I guess it's a good idea not to do it, because it makes it a little timeless. You know, like you don't need to have necessarily a date to pin it down. So yeah, I think that's a good idea, man.
Yeah.
Three Ravens.
Yeah. Well, and a big.
Go ahead.
Yep. Well, I was going to say a big thing for me with this story is, so the whole thing with the Holy Diver and the Midnight Sea is that the Midnight Sea is a combination of like the Bermuda Triangle, the Bifrost, the River Styx, the River of Shangri-La. It's all those like waterways that took you to the land of the gods and things like that.
Yeah.
So these stories touch everywhere. So what you'll end up with is like a cyberpunk street knight hanging out with a caveman sorcerer going to fight demons in hell. Like you can, awesome. Because they're all connected. The Holy Diver connects everybody. It's the bar on the edge of the sea, and it's the fixer point. It's that classic TTRPG tavern. Mm-hmm. But it pulls people from anywhere and any when. And when you get Gulliver's Traveled, when you get Bermuda Triangled, you pop up at the Holy Diver. Yeah. And that's where you learn how it all works, and you get your crew, and you go do whatever.
That's an interesting concept. Kind of reminds me of, like you said, TTR, D&D. I feel like, I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a realm that's like the middle realm. Basically has like a bunch of portals to like the other like outer realms and stuff like that. So like adventurers a lot of times get like somehow find their way into this middle realm, and from there they can go off to all these other, crazy outer realms. So yeah, I like that concept. With Three Ravens,
yeah, it's got big inspiration.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say big inspiration from tabletop.
Yeah. We got some Hammertron action figures. As a faithful follower of mine, he's always in the chat hanging out. He says hello, and he wants to know, are you an artist? Do you draw pictures of your characters or any of the scenes in your story?
Oh God, I wish. I cannot draw my way out of a paper bag. My son draws 1,000 times better than I am, and he's 9. I did not inherit. My mother and my grandmother did beadwork. They painted, made these beautiful pictures. Like I got all my ladies on the wall back here because I love physical art. I love visual art, but that's actually why I write. Is I cannot draw worth anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not terrible. I can draw pretty good if I can see something, but like just like conceptual, like if I just try to do it out of my head, it doesn't look good. Not at all. Let's see here.
I feel it.
Right. So
you started to ask about Three Ravens.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like I've heard of them. I don't think I've like submitted anything to them, but your story was your drop trooper story. Can you like what was that? I'm curious because I love like I've read Starship Troopers. Obviously played the crap out of Halo. Not obviously, but I love Halo. So yeah, what was your drop troopers about?
So my drop trooper story is called Children of Fire, which is after the Oh Sleeper song. I don't know if you're a heavy metal fan, but I pull a ton from heavy metal. Mm-hmm. And it was Halo ODSTs fighting Lovecraftian monsters on a Dr. Seuss planet.
Nice, dude.
That's the easiest way I can sum that one up. It's also, if you ever saw the Starship Troopers movie,
of course,
then like Dizzy's a woman in that, and Rico and Dizzy, they never really get to have much of a relationship. Dizzy gets killed in battle.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote the story, it was kind of Rico and Dizzy's spiritual second chance. So there's a minor romance subplot. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of like killing aliens. So that's what the main focus is. But the whole thing is Atlas is the main character. He's a sergeant of this platoon, um, and he's pondering like how much longer am I going to do this? And he's in love with Corsica, who is the Dizzy type character,
Mm-hmm.
and he's never admitted it, and he's never like it. They like everybody knows it. They both know it. It never says it out loud. If he doesn't deal with it, then he doesn't have to worry about it, and he keeps pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off. And they get called in on this drop, and now everybody's lives are on the line. And for the first time, it's really hitting him like all these people around me are not only the people that I'm responsible for because of the uniform. These are the people I want to spend the rest of my life with, and every single one of them that I lose not just now but for forever. And so I had a blast with that one. I had a built-in military consultant with my brother who double checked my ranks and structures and gunfights, and um, there's several really cool military like autobiographies. There's Storm of Steel for World War One, and With the Old Breed for World War Two.
Mm-hmm.
And I borrowed a lot from that kind of style for like a veteran's perspective of how the battle went and everything like that.
Yeah.
And had a lot of fun with it.
You said it was With the Old Breed. Was the World War II one?
Yeah, With the Old Breed is sick. Have you ever seen The Pacific?
No. I watched a little bit of Band of Brothers, but I don't think I've watched the Pacific.
Cool. So the Pacific is Band of Brothers, but for the Marines in the Pacific during the Pacific campaign of World War II. But one of the characters is Eugene Sledge, and you'll see Eugene if you ever watch the Pacific. But he's real. I mean, they all were. All the characters are real in that because it's drawing from what actually happened. But Eugene wrote a book, and that book is With the Old Breed, and it's all about that the fighting in the Pacific, and several battles that he participated in. And it's wild. It's some of the stuff like the way the Japanese were dug in, and they're having to pull these guys out of bunkers with flamethrowers and grenades, and it was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like, because like in the Navy, you learn some of this. It's part of like going through boot camp and stuff. You got to learn this history in order to graduate boot camp. Like you have to take these tests. Yeah, dude, what a gnarly war that was. And like I actually got to go because I was air crew, so I traveled a bunch, and I got to take a plane full of Marines to Hiroshima, not Hiroshima, sorry, Iwo Jima, and I actually got to hike and go up on top of that mountain or the hill. I think they call it a mountain, but it's like a hill, where they raise the flag up.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
that's awesome.
My dad was a Marine. He's not a World War II vet, but he was a Marine. So I scooped up some dirt and brought it home for him and made it in like a cool little jar present.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's got some Iwo Jima sand. But man, what a crazy experience that was. And just like you can see, there's like ruins of like planes and artillery, and you're not supposed to take. And I didn't take any like relics, right? I just took some dirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not supposed to touch any of because there might still be like live ordnance around there, so you're not supposed to touch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The whole Lovecraftian monster thing. I love Lovecraft. First of all, love Lovecraft. But especially when it's used like, I don't know if you played Bloodborne. I love Bloodborne. Like Dark Souls games. I just like it's the creepiness, like it's like horror, but it's like this alien horror, and I love that, dude. I'm all about it.
Yeah. I base the monsters, the bad guys, the enemy empire for Children of Fire, and for the stories I do later on. I base them off the deep ones from the Shadow over Innsmouth. So that's why I use that, is because that's basically where they come from.
Hell yeah. Are you much of a gamer? Do you play any games?
I was. I don't really have the time now. But when I was a kid, I did Halo, Gears, lots of shooters.
Yeah.
The big RPGs. The last game I really got into was Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it when it came out to be mad at all the glitches. I got it like 3 years later when they had polished it into one of the
Yeah, I was
best
gonna say
games
I heard
ever
I never
made.
got that game, but I heard that they made it. They like really fixed it because I was a huge Witcher 3 fan. Um,
Yeah,
so I
I
wanted
played
to
Witcher
get
3.
Cyberpunk, but I heard that like it was just a disaster, so I never bought it. But I should probably get it now.
Yeah, it's 100%. Like I can't speak to it when it came out, but if you get it now and you get Phantom Liberty, the DLC, and everything like that, it is Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2 level good. Like
Nice.
it is absolutely it is in my top 5 games of all time.
I'm not gonna do Red Dead Redemption made me a better blackjack player, not blackjack, Texas Hold'em player. I was on deployment and I had brought my PS4 and I bought Red Dead 2 and I literally pulled because like if I'm not flying, then I literally have nothing to do when I'm air crew. So like and there's multiple crews, right? So if my crew's not flying, the other crew's flying, I literally have like the days off. So I pulled all nighters in I can't remember what the first little town is in Red Dead you get to, but I went there and I just played Texas Hold'em all night. And then I went and played Texas Hold'em for real with my shipmates at the bar and I freaking won, killed him.
Nice.
Yeah, got him, dude.
Excellent.
Speaking of your drop troopers, have you read the Helldivers books? By I want to say it's Nicholas
Yes.
Sansbury Smith, I think his name is. I haven't. So I have Audible, and before I just
Yeah,
upgraded to the
so
free credit, but go ahead.
so that the you're talking about the one where humanity's stuck on the airships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I read that one. I haven't read the whole series. I have book 2 downloaded on my Audible, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was. I don't know why I had like the regular Audible like the low premium, like the $8 one that's paid just above the free account. Anyway, for some reason it came up
Mhm.
as free, but it was like on a time limit, so like I wasn't able to finish it. I got to the point where like the spoilers in the chat for anybody who hasn't read the first
Helldivers.
Helldivers, but like basically like the other airship crashed. And the one guy was
Hmm.
like, he saw because the one Helldiver from that ship was on the ground. He saw it and he's like, my family's dead. And then
Yeah.
like the other people had just dropped down and landed. And then like it expired and I couldn't finish it. So I just
Oh
upgraded.
man.
Yeah, I just upgraded for the 1 credit a month account, but I ended up
Uh-huh.
buying. I got Monster Hunter Alpha because that's where I'm at on the Monster Hunter series right now. So I'm listening to that.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Alpha's great.
yeah, I like it, dude. Well, first of all, werewolves is like one of my favorite monsters, and
Yeah.
it's cool because like like the first two are Owen Pitt's first person POV, and now this is like third
Mhm.
person with multiple POVs, but then also has a first person when you're in like Earl's diary. I'm liking it so far. I honestly wasn't like huge. I wasn't like hooked on MHI, but when I got to Vendetta, I was like, this is great. I love MHI or the Monster Hunter series.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. So, and I understand that. It sometimes series take a little bit to settle in. I me being I was Larry's target demographic in almost every way when those came out. Like I think I was right at like 19 or 20. I was really heavy into guns,
Hmm.
and martial training, and that was it. Kind of hit it right at the perfect moment for me with that one. So um, that was yeah. So I was hooked almost immediately, but his writing gets even better
Oh,
as
dude.
things go on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I liked it. I liked MHI, and I even listened to it like 3 or 4 times before I ended up getting Vendetta. But I listened to Vendetta like straight shot. So I live in Portland, and we went to Disneyland for our vacation. We drove, so I was like, I gotta get a book to listen to because I'm not gonna just zone out. So yeah, I listened to Vendetta the whole way down and the whole way up, and I was able to knock it out. And I was like, dude, this is great. The gangster gnomes are hilarious. Like, dude, so
Yeah.
funny. I love his takes on like mythical creatures in that series. But yeah, have you read
Absolutely.
Saga: The Forgotten Warrior?
I'm not done. I'm on book 4. Um, and I do love the series. I love Ashok,
Oh
the
yeah.
main character, and um, Jagdish. Like the crew is great. The characters in that one are a lot of fun. The world's really cool. Um, Another spoiler alert: anybody hasn't done the first Son of the Black Sword. What happens? Well, I can maybe despoiler it. What happens with Angruvidal? I felt it. I'm not gonna lie. I got that one manly tear.
You said you're on book
Uh,
4?
yeah, I believe I'm. I'll tell you in a second. I'll pull my
Destroyer of
Audible
Worlds, I
up and I'll
think
tell
that
you.
one is.
Yeah, I
Oh,
haven't.
Tower of Silence is book 4.
I haven't. So I've done Destroyer of Worlds. I have not done Tower of Silence yet.
Tower of
So
Silence is a good one. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but yeah, it's a good one.
yeah.
Mallory Childers, this amazing man has single-handedly taken me from somebody who used to think 50 Shades of Grey was top trite, writing to a well-read MHI loving bookaholic, thus admitting 50 Shades is in fact not top tree. I don't know. You know who Mallory Childers is?
Yeah, that's the missus. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
well, soon to be missus.
There you go.
So
Nice.
that's yeah.
You guys read that together?
So I mean I had read it many years ago, but she when I really started writing, she was beta reading for me, and it really kind of restored her love of books. And she was like, hey, like I want to start reading. Where do I start? And I was like, well, I don't know because like from what you read before, it was 50 Shades and stuff like that. You're probably going to enjoy, romance. I don't really do a lot of romance. The only romance I do is men's romance, and that's just totally written for a different audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what, forget it. Here's a couple series, try them. And she does audiobooks and she's really big on narrator. And so she did some narrator samples and was like, oh, well, I really like the narrator on this one. And she started MHI. And I tried to get her to slow down and do a different like do a different series. I was like, hey, take a break in the middle because there's only 8 books. And she couldn't. She literally could not peel away. And so she read the whole series through and then was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. And I was like, well, here's some more series. And she'd, go through and figure out what narrator she liked and keep going. And that was about 2 years ago, I guess. And she tears through the audiobooks. She does them at work and when she's, doing stuff around the house or whatever. For me, I do a lot more physical reading. I only do audiobooks in the car and stuff like that. So she tears through the audio and I tear through the print.
I do audio for like when I'm doing chores and stuff like that. Or yeah, like if it's like a long drive, I'll do audio. But then I'll do a lot of like a mix between because I'm a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, so that just allows. There's so many books that are on KU that I want to read.
Oh yeah.
But I also freaking love physical books, so I do a mix of everything. Whatever. I usually have like an audiobook going, and then I have a book that I'm reading, and then I also have another book that I do for a book club. So I'm usually got like 3 books going simultaneously.
I feel you.
I know
it'd be like that.
Yeah, and I love it. Usually Sunday night is like the night I read my book club book. I just knock out the required reading or whatever, and then Monday night's the book club. And honestly, it kind of gives me a chance to just get something a little extra on the side knocked out at a reasonable pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we kind of talked about Incense Punk. I know you're a busy guy, but if you did want to pick one up, if Orders of Magnitude, I think it's a novella. It's like 100 pages. So if you wanted a quick read that wasn't like a straight up short story, that one is incredible. It's by Yuval Kordov. I don't know if you've heard of him or read any of his stuff, but highly recommend.
No, but I will. I'm jotting it down on my phone now. You said Orders of Magnitude?
Yeah, by Yuval Kordov. It's like
sweet.
It's like Dead Space mixed with Doom with like Catholic theology mixed over it. It's great, dude. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'll check it out, man. I'm always down for a new subgenre. Mm-hmm. Me liking to blend them together so much and everything, and I like that. I like that aesthetic a lot too. So I'm about it. I'm about some Paladin action.
Yeah, it's actually the LT or the captain of the unit. He's a paladin captain is what his rank's called. So pretty freaking legit.
Nice.
The other ones are like I think it's like knight corporals, and then I don't know
Yeah.
if squire maybe is the lower end guys. I don't remember, but yeah, dude, great story. It's super, it's just great. Well done.
Cool.
Yeah, dude. Helldivers. What else should we talk about?
Um. Hmm. Uh. Trying to think of who else is kind of in our same wheelhouse. Or I know you said you hadn't really looked at Three Ravens stuff, but Three Ravens actually has some really cool, kind of unique things going on. The cover I think you picked up for the thumbnail is it came from the Trailer Park, which is my editorial debut as an assistant editor helping out William Joseph Roberts. But it came from the Trailer Park is really like a unique kind of Three Ravens thing. I don't see a lot of people do this. It's redneck horror comedy. And so it's all think Tucker and Dale versus Evil, or if like Shaun of the Dead had a redneck twist, like was in the Trailer Park.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feel that we're going for. And I had a blast editing these stories, man. It's a special kind of thing. I'm a Southern kid. I grew up in the South. I've lived around Atlanta my entire life. So it very much, the feel gets captured really well. There's a lot of fun twists and turns on the stuff that people kind of saw growing up, or like the humor and the stereotypes. We had a lot of fun with it. And there's several of those. A couple of them have been nominated for awards. Not in this specific volume because it's not out yet, but like in Trailer Park 3, there was the Ballad of Esmeralda Calhoun by my buddy David Batterina. That got nominated for an Imagine Award. So I would highly recommend, if you are looking for a comedic read with some action and some horror involved, then I would highly recommend checking that series of Anthos out.
I don't think I've read anything that fits that bill, but like those movies you mentioned. Also, I don't know if you've seen this one. It's called Cockneys versus Zombies. So it's got like a blue collar.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's got one British dude that I recognize, but he's like an older actor. You know what he was in? He was in is it Snatch with Brad Pitt? He was like the older gangster, British old white dude gangster. I don't know if you remember the character I don't remember the character's name, but he's in Cockneys vs Zombies. Dude, it's a hilarious zombie movie. It's really good.
Awesome. That sounds fun. I'll check it out.
I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, that makes it easy.
Hammertron Action Figures asks, do you have any symbols or logos for your factions in any of your stories?
Let me see if I can get it on camera. I'm working on it.
Oh, nice, dude.
So I'm a big tattoo guy. I gotta figure out how to do this. Nope. We're kinda, I need to turn.
Like
I don't know. Yeah, so that's my cross, but like right in here, you can kind of see the wolf. I'm still working on the outline. But it's got the wolf. So there's an eagle. There's an eagle with 3 stars, the wolf, and then the 4th star. And that is my unit patch for my unit in Children of Fire. So I'm working on getting that colored in. I'll have the artist like drawing from my tattoo artist. She's already agreed to like get all that set for me. Once I have that done, I'll be able to make patches and stuff like that. And have some of that set up. I've done concept art. If you're interested, my Substack, which is the Outlaw Author. Mm-hmm. If you jump on my Substack, in my Substacks, I will put the concept art in. So you can go see concept art for Rune, who's my like steampunk character. You can go see concept art for Atlas. I got a bunch of them in there, and I'll post some. I'll throw some up again on like X and stuff like that later after we're done.
Okay. Yeah, dude, yeah. If you want to tag me, I can also put it, or give me the information. I can put it in the description of this video afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How do you like Substack? Do you get a lot of traction over there?
So I am still a nobody. As many short stories as I have out, like compared to, I'm nobody big in this game yet. I'm working on it, but it takes time. It's a lot of authors know me that are in the like Southern convention circuit because I love going to cons.
Yeah.
But I don't have a big following anywhere yet. I mean, just being real. And I'm working on that. That's one of the reasons I'm here, is trying to meet new people. I'm trying to get new people who are introduced to my work. And I really eventually, like, I'm one of those guys that I eventually want to have a writing guild. And I want to bring in a lot of people to read the guild, to work the guild, I feel like the modern publishing format is, what's the family-friendly version? A crapshoot. And even a lot of the small publishers that I've been blessed to work with, and I love them, I'm still waiting on somebody else. So if we can get a bunch of people together and we can get them to work with each other and know each other's style and work for cheap, we can put stuff out a lot faster. We can build our following a lot faster. We can have all that. So as far as traction on Substack is concerned, I got like 60 people. But those 60 people care enough that every time I write a long form article, they read it. So it's one of those things. I think it's attributed to Musashi. Like, do you want a gardener that'll swing with all his might, or do you want a trained swordsman that is a coward? And I'll take the gardener. Yeah. And so I have these 60 people, and they are hardcore on my side. And they want to be notified immediately when I put stuff out. And they're awesome. So I love Substack. It fits my brain. If you can't tell, I don't ever just say 2 sentences. I have got a lot about the subject. So being able to be more long-winded and write on subjects with nuance is really lovely versus Twitter giving me the 240 characters that I use every time I tweet.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I have to check out your Substack for sure. I do like. Do you follow Devin Erickson at all? I haven't read any of your articles yet because I just found you. But I do. Devin Erickson posts a lot of articles on his X. Or is that an author you're familiar with?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have not been blessed to meet Devin yet. I know Devin from X. I know Devin from that debacle with the self-published sci-fi Yahoo, whatever. Which I get the feeling we're trying to be a little family friendly here, so I'll save any. No,
don't worry about it. My channel's called Dirt Baggery. Don't worry about it. Let it fly.
So
I'm a sailor. I'm a sailor and mechanic.
But yeah, I don't take a hard stance on much very often because I feel like I don't want to say inclusiveness. I feel like making your stuff, like getting along with people, is important. Like and so I try not to be like that much very often. But yeah, screw those people. So I know Devin from that. I know Devin from his online presence. But I absolutely know who you're talking about. We're mutual followers or friends or whatever you want to call it on X and stuff like that.
Have you read his book, Depth of Fire?
Not yet. On the list. Man, that's one of the struggles is, as much of a reader as I am, you start making friends and like every friend you make is another book on the list.
Yeah, right.
So I've had my to be read pile at this point is literally 70 or 80 books deep. And so I'm trying. I'll get to it. I hear it's really good.
It's
his
fantastic.
wife promotes constantly.
Yeah,
man.
she's a champ, dude. I was gonna say I'm jealous that you like my wife. My wife hates reading. We're like the polar opposite. Like she's a sciencey. Like she's a master's and she's a PA at a hospital. But she that was like the hardest part of going through school for her is even reading her I'm sure that sucks to read biology books and stuff, but she does not read for leisure. I think the only thing she's read is a Mindy Kaling autobiography or some crap. Like that's really her only like.
I got you.
She doesn't read, so we're very polar opposite when it comes to that as far as hobbies go. But that's all right, you know. We don't have to like all the same stuff.
Yeah, no, and you make it work. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and it's good to have opposing skill sets because you can cover more ground. Like, I dig it.
Yeah, but yeah, man. As far as like time to read, it does get tough. I usually stay up pretty late. Like I'll try to like spend time with my kids during the day and get stuff done. That's why I like audiobooks, is I can like listen to it while I'm doing, you know, chores or getting something
Mhm.
done. So that helps out. But then yeah, I'm usually, if I'm reading, it's usually once
Yeah,
everyone's in bed, and yeah, I might stay up a little bit too late, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I could just had time. I wish I was in high school again and I would devote more time to other books besides Harry Potter. I still love Harry Potter. Don't get me wrong. I like, you know, no shade on Mr. Potter, but gosh dang it.
yeah. No, I read that whole series at least 3 times, and there's 2 copies in my house. But well, I say in my house, I have a whole copy, and then my mother has a whole copy. So between the family, there's 2 entire hardback copies of the series. So
That's like
I understand.
that's exactly the same. I mean, I don't know if my mom still has our original, because she read them too. Like I think that's where I get my love of reading. Is my mom is a huge reader, but I don't know if she still has our Harry Potter books. But I had now my wife bought me. I got like the, you know, you get the set together and it makes the castle when you have the bindings all next to each other. So that's like my special.
Yeah,
That's what I have now. But like I do like the original artwork.
nice.
I kind of miss it.
Yeah,
Having it on the old shelf. Dude,
yeah.
Go
That's
ahead.
been. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're
No, no,
good.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I love the fact that you're
Oh,
a Servants of War fan, because I think last year out
yeah.
of the 40 books I read, that was my favorite. I cannot wait for book 2. Um, I actually turned another author. I can't remember his name. Is Mitch? Oh, forgive me, dude. I forgot what his last name was. But anyway, I like talked about it on the stream with him, and he went and read it. And he messaged me. He's like, "Damn it, dude! Why didn't you tell me there was only a book 1? There's no book 2 out." And I was like, sorry, bro."
Yeah.
I'm sure Steve and Larry will get it out. I mean, I know Steve's day job is like, I don't know if you listen to the Writers Dojo podcast, but sounds like his day job is
Mhm.
like murdering him right now, so he doesn't really have a lot of time
Yeah.
to write, unfortunately.
Yeah, Steve. I asked about it one day, not like trying to be a pain in the butt, but it was somebody had brought it up, and I was like, yeah, man, like I love Servants of War. I cannot wait to get like for what I'm praying they continue this series.
Hmm.
And I got lucky, and I guess Steve was just scrolling that day, and Steve jumped on and was like, "Hey, yeah, man, I'm working on it. Like it's like I'm working on my part right now. Like, but yeah, you're right. He's been swamped, and I get it because that happens to everybody. And
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest things that disappoints me is that a dude who writes that well still has a day job.
I
Like he's,
know. I'm
you
like,
know,
we gotta get the word out on Steve Diamond so this guy can get us the next book in the Age of Raven series, and quit his day job.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. It's
have you read the Jack Bishop series by him? I think that's like his
I have
that was
not.
his debut novel.
I'm
It's a trilogy.
yeah.
It's pretty, dude. It's what does he call it? You're like, it's like supernatural thriller. It's very like
All right.
visual, and like kind of, it almost feels like it would be a great comic book. But yeah, really good, really
Yeah.
good trilogy. I wish it was 4 books. I feel like the third book was like, I feel like that could have been drawn out into 2 separate books. But that's my only gripe on the trilogy, is that I just wanted it to be a little longer in that last book.
A little longer. That's a pretty good gripe to have. If the only complaint is that it ended too soon, then I
Yeah,
feel like that's pretty solid. I hope that I have the grace to, when I finally get rolling, if I ever get the devoted following like that, I hope I have the grace to end them early, on time or a little
yeah,
early instead of just dragging it out and writing a crap last book.
yeah. Have you read any of the what is it, the Hard Magic books? I think it's a trilogy.
Yes, so I've read almost everything Larry's wrote. I
Okay.
can't say every single thing because I'm still working on Forgotten Warrior.
Hmm.
But I did read all of Hard Magic, and that's another one that was fantastic. If you like Owen, you're gonna like Jake.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
I, I,
um,
I
a very different series, but it has a similar feel.
Yeah, I bought the first book. I haven't read it yet, but then I've become a huge fan of like short fiction on Audible. So like I've listened to like all 3 Lost Planet homicides, which are freaking awesome.
Nice.
And then he did the
Absolutely.
Tokyo Raider. I don't know if you've read that or listened to that one, or read it. I guess I don't know. I don't think it's an Audible original. Yeah,
I don't think I've done that one yet.
It's Jake's son, right? So it's like a little bit. Toru Tokugawa is in it, but it's Jake's son, and basically, bro, there's like the Soviets unleashed this massive like demon that's looks like a Chinese dragon kind of like serpentine looking monster, and it's like going after Tokyo, and the Japanese under Toru are like, okay, let's swallow our pride a bit, and we'll ask America for help. So he asks for Jake's son. I am totally brain farting his name. I think it's Joe Sullivan. Anyway, he goes over there. He's a lieutenant in the Marine Corps. He goes over there, and they basically show him this massive mech that's like made of like pure steel. And he's like, "How is this even possible for this to move?" And he's like, "Well, we need someone like you that can manipulate gravity. That's how it moves." And then there's like guys
you need a heavy,
yeah. And then there's like guys that control fire and ice and lightning inside like the arms and like weapons and stuff. Dude, it's and they like just go break apart Tokyo. In this fight.
That's awesome.
It's great.
That's so cool. I gotta pull that up. I might have read that one a long time ago, but I gotta reread it because I don't remember it. So that's killer.
That was the first thing I read in that universe, and I was like, holy crap, dude. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, man. You gotta dive in. You gotta dive in on that one because there's so many. That's another series. I'm a big character person. Like that's like you hear me talk about my stories and I'm talking about the main characters, and that's because I believe character driven is superior.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely a series that has this amazing list of characters that are their personalities and things are an absolute blast.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I would love just to plow through all of Larry Curry stuff. I like to jump around, so like I bought the 2 Graveyard of Demons and Heart of the Mountain. I got them on hardcover or whatever, and I put those immediately at the top of the TBR because that's like my favorite dark fantasy series or fantasy series in general. So I knocked that out, but like I've been trying to get through like a lot of Wargate stuff. So like Land and Sea is like one of my favorite IPs right now. So every time a new one of those comes out, that goes to the top of the TBR. Galaxy's Edge, obviously there's like, I don't know, it's like more than 20 books out. I don't know. There's a lot of Galaxy's Edge books right now.
Multiple seasons, super deep.
And then I try to like read indie guys. So I'll scoop up an indie book and read like book 1s here and there. I try to move it around so I'm not just like sticking in with like one author. I want to read multiple people. One, I just like to see different like writing styles and see how people approach things and different genres and whatnot. But yeah, it's a goal. It's a goal 1. I want to read all the Wargate books, and then I want to read all of Larry's books, and then everybody else's books in the world. I want to read all those eventually.
Yeah, we're very, very kindred spirits in that. I love the Wargate stuff. I got hooked on Forgotten Ruin, for me. So that was the big one for me, and it was I've torn through all of that, and then they did a spin-off series with just one of the characters, that's Sergeant Thor. I did all those, and I think I'm 6 or 7 books in on Galaxy's Edge. I think I'm on Imperator is the next one I need to read. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I just finished book 6, which was Sword of the Legion, which I think is right after Imperator. And then I read one standalone, which was The Lost Legion, which Blaine Pardoe helped write as well. So the Land and Sea guy. That was phenomenal. That was a phenomenal book. It was like the mech book of Galaxy's Edge. So good. Oh, and I read the short story. It's like a little short story called Tin Man. About Crash. So if you haven't read Sword of the Legion yet, I highly recommend read that short story and then read Sword of the Legion, because it'll kind of builds up the emotional punch a little bit. That's all I'll say.
I can do that. I need to wrap back around into those. Like you said, man, the TBR just
keeps going.
Keeps piling up, and I'm trying to bounce around too. So
Yeah, with the Forgotten Ruin and Sergeant Thor, I got both of those. One of the guys in the Land and Sea, I'm in the Land and Sea Discord, and one of the other guys in there sent me like he had a bunch of books that he got for free or something. So he sent me a bunch of books, and one of them was Forgotten Ruin. I think that might be signed. It was either that one was signed or Galaxy's Edge Legacies was signed by Jason and Nick.
Nice.
And then yeah, Sergeant Thor, you got me that one too. So yeah, it's just I got to plug through it eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's 8 o'clock my time, so it's probably 11 o'clock your time if my math is mathing correctly.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to go and put my kids to bed. But I really appreciate you coming on.
As you should.
Had a good chat, and yeah, dude, I'm digging. We have very similar reading tastes. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And we should definitely become maybe MySpace friends. I don't know. Do you still have MySpace?
I wish I did. We never should have left Tom.
No,
we never should have left Tom for Facebook.
Yeah, we owe Tom an apology for sure. You could like put your own music on your profile and stuff, dude. Yeah. Sorry, I know. I just tried to say goodbye. And I'm talking about MySpace now.
Oh no, I get it. This is. So I don't know if you're familiar, but this is the Southern goodbye, which is you say goodbye and then you talk for another 45 minutes and then you actually leave.
Nice. Yep, that sounds about right. I end up doing that like every time. Maybe I'm like part Southerner. I just don't know it.
Yeah, it just snuck up there.
Yeah. Alrighty, man. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, and hopefully I get to chat with you again in the future.
Yeah, that sounds good. I enjoyed it, and I'll see you on X if nothing else.
Yep, absolutely, man. Take it easy.
See ya.
See ya.